Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Seth Eisenberg, if you didn't know that already, and we're at the conservative corner, which is behind me. So, if that's not where you're supposed to be, you're probably in the wrong place. But I have a special guest this evening, and it was my problem that wasn't announced earlier. My week has been crazy. I've been going back to the VA for some more testing and everything, and when that happens, we'll get into that. But that's why this was like a last minute. It's my fault. I assume all the responsibility for that. It was just I never got back to my guest in time, so we got it set up. So she's here, which is awesome. I'm glad she's here. If you're in Maryland, this will be very, very interesting for you. You're probably really going to pay attention because I have Dr. Brenda Thame. She's running for lieutenant governor with John Myrick in Maryland. She was born in Rayford, North Carolina, North Kakalaki. She has a doctorate degree in special education and currently teaches special education at an elementary school in Washington County, and that's in Maryland and Western Maryland. Brenda is also a director of a non-public school for children with autism at Montgomery County prior to moving to Hagerstown. Anybody who knows me knows my grandson is fully autistic, and I guess they would say nonverbal, so that's awesome that she does that. I think that's great. She served as a state delegate in the Maryland General Assembly and represented Hagerstown, District 2B, that's 2 Bravo. Her current political endeavor includes being chosen as a running mate for John Myrick, who is running for governor in the upcoming gubernatorial election. Excuse me. Brenda currently serves on the Brook Lanes Board of Directors, as well as the Emeritus Health Foundation. She's also the membership chair for the Black Conservative Federation. Brenda is an active member of the Zion Baptist Church located in Hagerstown, where the pastor is Reverend Ricky Smith. Brenda is married to Milik. I'm probably mispronouncing it. I'm sorry, sir. They have one daughter who attends college and 2 fur babies, Johnny and Zeus. Zeus is a cool name for an animal. Her favorite scripture is Psalms 91. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I will trust. So without further ado, let me get her on and let we hear from her directly rather than listen to me ramble on. How you doing?
Hey, Seth, what's up?
Same crap, different day.
Right? Okay, I got a bone to pick with you before we even get started.
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. My last name.
I butcher it every time. I apologize.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to check you on it in a loving way.
How do you pronounce it so I know for the future?
This might shock you, but it might not. When I say it, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's right. Cham.
Yes.
Okay. I know.
Commit that to
don't argue with me. Take it up with my husband. my maiden name is Moore.
that I can see.
No relation to the current government.
No. Good. So that was your bio. Is there anything else you want to add that people should know about you, or does that kind of encapsulate, like in a nutshell, what we need to know right now?
That's just a nice nutshell of who I am, Seth. That's a nice nutshell. Yep.
Now, before we start, I want everybody to know that I know you off of here. You've been at some of the meetings where I'm the vice president of the Frederick County Conservative Club, and I've seen you some other meetings. And so everybody knows that I'm not like a butt kisser. Me and the doctor have had our issues. We have had disagreements about certain things. So I don't want anybody thinking she's coming on here because this is like a softball league. I'm going to lob to her. I like her personally. She's a great person. We've had professional differences. And she's still here, and I'm still talking to her because it's important we get her information out because I think she's a viable candidate with John Myrick. But so
that's what adults do, Seth.
Yes.
Adults have disagreements. They disagree on some things, and they hash it out, and they have a come to Jesus moment, and you can still love on each other and keep it moving, right?
I completely agree. Absolutely. So I just want everybody to know that this is not like a kiss fest. We're not. We've had our disagreements.
Yes, we have.
Okay, so my first question, I'm sure other questions people want to know, is you were in politics, like you said. You were the delegate for Hagerstown, District 2B, and you got out. Why do you want to go back in?
I know. Am I crazy? I don't know. Maybe a tinge of craziness. But I think a little crazy is not bad every now and again. When you see the state of affairs of our state and how things are going, I mean, the craziness will move you to be like, you know what? I can't shake my finger at the TV or the radio or the blue app on my phone known as Facebook enough. So you gotta get in it and be a part of the change. And that's what I want to do. I didn't choose myself to be lieutenant governor running mate for John Myrick. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was very prayerful about, okay, God, I didn't win my state delegate seat. I didn't win it. I ran for Congress, didn't win that either. But still, there was an itch that I just couldn't get rid of. And I was just kind of sitting back and still being involved and paying attention to local and national politics. Um, and just wondering, the state delegate seat just didn't, that wasn't the itch that I was seeking to scratch, because I would have filed for it, I could file for it, easily, but no, I don't know what it is. So I was just kind of chilling, just kind of, relaxing and wondering what's next. And then I got the ring at the doorbell, John Myrick's team, who reached out. And I didn't immediately jump at that either too quick.
Really?
I was very prayerful about it and just kind of, wow, okay, now this is an opportunity that I was certainly not even thinking about, but very prayerful and asking God I don't want to do anything outside of his will. I don't want to just do anything for the sake of a title, but is this what you have for me to do? Then I'll do it. And I felt like it was the right thing to do. And I said yes to the question to run as John Myrick's lieutenant governor. He's running mate.
Well, I'm not shocked that you didn't jump at it.
Yeah.
I know as well. I don't know you that well, but I know you well enough to know that you never have impressed me as like a spontaneous. Let's just do this. Let's do this.
No way.
Very
Those
thoughtful.
kind of things get you in trouble.
Yeah.
No, you can't be quick. Some things you do have to be quick on,
Yeah.
like, okay, yes, let's do it. And other things you have to say, no. Let me think about that first.
Now, before we get into the questions I have for you, I have another question. I know you have a child who's in college
Yes.
and you're married.
Yes.
How is that? Does that factor into campaigning? Because I know when I ran for the Board of Education, I got nasty letters and threats, and people on the street would come up to me and when I was with my son, who was 9 at the time, and threaten me in front of my son.
Oh,
and
man.
that was Board of Education, so it wasn't a sexy position. Have you encountered anything like that as campaigning for this now, or not yet?
I get it most often in my inbox, just to me personally, but no, people have been pretty, for lack of a better word, pretty decent,
Okay.
respectful. They've not said anything about my daughter or my husband, or at least they've not told me. I think they would if that were the case. But I kind of get the inbox crazy shenanigans, people saying foolish stuff, but you just kind of take it in stride. It's a callus at this point, and you just keep moving.
True. Yeah. It seems the keyboard warriors always got something to say. Always.
Yes.
Which is sad because you're just trying to make things better.
Right.
That's why I've never understood that. I never got that.
I have my beliefs, my values, and I think I can contribute to conversations and decisions and policies of Maryland. And so why not me?
And I've always said that, Republican and Democrats all have the same goal. They want to make things better for their families. They're just coming at it from different angles.
Yes.
And that's all it really is perspectives. And there's no need to threaten people or get nasty. I've never understood that. Because at the end of the day, it's about the kids and your family. And everybody wants the best for that.
Right.
Maybe we're old fashioned. I don't know. Okay, let's get into some questions. The first question I have is education reform. You've emphasized fixing education by focusing on teaching students and removing certain ideologies from the curricula, which I agree with. Can you specify which education programs or policies you would prioritize as lieutenant governor?
Well, with the current Maryland blueprint that we have that sort of navigates what students are learning and what instruction should look like for them from pre-K to 12, we just have to just throw the whole bill away. Number one, it's too costly. Yeah. And when I served in the legislature for the years that I was there, that bill came on the floor. I believe it was in 2021, my first session. And, I read it at length, and some of the things were great. I mean, of course, we want to make sure that we have great teachers teaching our children and we want to focus on young children, getting them prepared for schooling at the pre-K level, but it was just too costly. If I recall correctly, over a 10-year span of time, it was gonna be multi billions of
Yes,
dollars to throw at education. Now we know it takes money to fund education, paying for teachers and professional development of teachers and paying for staff, curricular items, but to the tune of $10 billion, and school districts not really receiving a lot of funding to pay for that mandate. And I just felt like it was too expensive.
it is.
So, we have to focus on getting our students ready for post secondary outcomes whenever they go through their K through 12 experience. By 12th grade, they should be able to read at a proficiency higher than third grade, fourth grade. I mean, come on, we can do better than that for our children. We can
Yes,
do better than that. I know we can.
I
So
agree.
we've just got to focus on the ABCs and one, two, threes of teaching children. All of this other conversation, about gender identity and pronoun usage and preference for your pronoun, those things don't belong in the classroom. They just don't.
Now, I know, you're highly educated, so and I think that's awesome.
Mhm.
I have always been a big supporter, and I've always pushed for trade schools. It
Yes.
doesn't seem very many schools, and I'm speaking for Maryland. I can't speak for everybody else, but it just seems in Maryland that's kind of like well, if you want to do that, that's fine.
Mm.
Um, is that something you would kind of like? Hey, let's push that out just as much as colleges.
Absolutely. John and I have had many conversations about education and what reforms and what it could possibly look like, and certainly focusing on trade schools is very important. I mean, have you needed a plumber lately or an electrician? Those professions pay very good money. I wish I had the skill set, to be able
You and me both.
to pursue that. Yes, because it's very expensive. So certainly, we need to push more of those vocational certifications, because they're needed, they're necessary. If you own a home, and eventually, maybe one day, you're going to need a plumber to come and take care of your plumbing needs on the 4th of July. And plumber's going to charge you a little extra for that visit.
My firstborn. Thank you.
Yes, and here's my arm. Exactly. So we need to encourage those types of pursuits for our children. Outside of every student is not going to be University of Maryland College Park bound. Every student may not be college ready, but certainly considering military or evoke technical type certifications to for post secondary outcomes. So absolutely, we are going to push hard for those types of supports for children after high school.
I mean, we were talking before we came on here, and I was telling Brenda that my son wants to go in the Navy, and her brother was a CB, and that's what my son
Mhm.
wants to do is a CB. And it's good to hear somebody who's looking to be in an authoritative position that sees the need for college as well as trade schools and the
Yes,
military and getting
yes,
straight to work. I mean, they're all they're equally as important in my book. There's nothing
absolutely.
more important than that. And my father used to tell me, he said, when you sit down and you think about it, he goes, he wasn't criticizing anyone. He said, at the end of the day, who would you need more in your life, a lawyer or a plumber?
Right.
He said, don't look down on the plumber just because he didn't go to college, because you're probably going to need him a lot more than you're going to ever need a lawyer. He said, so
That's
keep
right.
that in mind. And it's the truth. But yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said, I agree with what you said. And on top of that, you work with autistic children. My
Hmm.
grandson is fully autistic, nonverbal.
Okay.
So I applaud you for that. I think that's awesome. On that alone, I know you have the patience of a saint. I know you
Well,
do.
I don't know about the same. Maybe it's just more compassion and seeing, more in that student beyond the diagnosis of autism. That we're all children of God. They, despite their disability, are loved and cared for, and they deserve to be taught
Yeah,
instruction, good instruction.
I agree. You'll get no argument from me on that at all.
Yes.
All right, next question. Economics and tax policies. You've mentioned reducing taxes and burdensome regulations to create non-government jobs, which I completely agree with.
Mm-hmm.
What specific tax relief measures or regulatory reforms would you advocate for?
Well, I don't want to overstep my running mate John
Right.
in that area. As far as we're having many conversations and reading Comar and understanding the regulations that we have that drive the state of Maryland. If you want to operate a business, if you want to own a business or start a business, there are many regulations that sometimes can be very troublesome for people who want to start a business. It's just too much red tape, too much bureaucracy that people have to cut through to start their business. So, we're going to take a deep dive, which we currently are now. We're just going to really look at regulations and see, what can we get rid of? What can we help future entrepreneurs to not jump through so many fiery hoops just because they want to start a business? There's so many fees involved when you want to start a business. If you want to change the name of the business, there's a fee. If you want to change it from LLC to incorporated, there's a fee for that. There's so many fees that Maryland has, and it's like a money grab.
Yeah.
Everything is a fee,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so we're gonna have more specific and deeper conversations about that to really just help people kind of cut through the mustard, particularly business owners.
And I'm glad you brought it up because I'm a little foggy on it too. And I'm sure some of the people who are going to watch this now and later are a little foggy on it. What exactly is the job description of a lieutenant governor? What would your responsibilities be? What would you be in charge of? Because a lot of people just don't know.
Right. I mean, the lieutenant governor is really just it serves at the expense of the governor. If the governor is not available, God forbid, if something happened to the governor, then the lieutenant governor would step in and perform that role. And I'm the assistant to the governor. I will support what the agenda is that he's going to be pushing out when we're elected. I'm very optimistic about that. It really, just think about kind of the president and vice president. The vice president serves, to support the role of the president. So my role is just to support the governor and certainly the needs of the people of Marylanders. So I won't have a governor's mansion. I won't have my own place to live in. So don't worry about that, taxpayers. There's no mansion for the lieutenant governor. So, and it's funny you mentioned that because when it was proposed to me to be the running mate for John, I said, okay, we hear Lieutenant Governor, Rutherford, Lieutenant Governor Miller. Okay, okay, what exactly do they do? Let me read the job description. So I Googled it. I went on to the state of Maryland website, read the Maryland Constitution. I'm like, okay, it's not I'm not cutting neurons and electrons and atoms. So I think I can manage. I think I can manage this. I think it might be pretty easy, but I don't make light of it. But I know the work is going to be challenging
Right.
work because now you're covering the state and not just the small piece of
Right.
Hagerstown, but now it's Eastern Shore. The further west in Southern Maryland, Northern Maryland. So it's covering all of Maryland. So it's going to
And
take a lot.
Maryland's a lot bigger than people think when you start traveling. It's a lot
Oh,
bigger.
believe me, yes. I was just in Southern Maryland last evening with my husband, and we had to be there for an event at 6:00. So I told my husband, "Well, I think if we left at 3:30, we should be fine." Well, I was I don't know why everybody was out on the road last night, but the traffic was horrible.
Okay.
We left at
Yeah,
3:30, and we got to Acquakeek, Maryland. It was 6:30. It took us 3 hours.
wow.
I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, when I went to is it Hollywood, Maryland, down past towards Waldorf, that area,
Yes.
I didn't realize it was that far. I had no idea
A
Maryland was
long
that
stay.
wide. I was like, wow. So I can imagine going from like Western Maryland to Eastern Maryland. It's
Yes.
got to be just
Yes.
time consuming.
Absolutely. But we're up for the challenge, and you just plan accordingly with your timing. That's what I do.
That's all you can do.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Next question here. The opioid, I don't know why I have a hard time with that word. Opioid epidemic response.
There you go.
Given your prior focus on addressing the opioid epidemic during your time as a delegate and Hagerstown City Council candidate, what policies or initiatives would you propose as Lieutenant Governor to combat that crisis across Maryland?
Yes, right here in Hagerstown, we have really just kind of been sucker punched with the crisis, with the opioid crisis that's going on here, and not just in Hagerstown, but it's impacting the whole state of Maryland. When I served in the legislature, there were many bills that went forth, particularly on the Republican side, that wanted to, kind of look at more punitive measures to help people. Of course, we have to be empathetic and compassionate with people who are going through drug addictions and those challenges. But on the Democrat side, they wanted to really decriminalize some things like paraphernalia that are used when you're using drug. And I don't support that. I mean, if you have someone that is OD'd, 3 or 4 times, and they're not having any repercussions to that, just Narcan, and then okay, they're back, and then 2-3 weeks later, a month later, they're back in that same place. I think we need to look at doing something more serious. Now, certainly, jail may not be the best consequence for people who are going through drug addiction, but I think we need to do a lot more to help people who are going through those challenges, to help kind of get them over that hump. And with the funding that's available through the grant, people counties can apply for grant monies to help in their districts, with the monies, the millions of dollars that we received. So we've got to make some better laws and better supports for people who are going through those challenges.
I agree. And Cindy Rose was posting. She's a great lady. I like her. She's taught me a lot about local politics. Said that she had met Mr. Myrick, and I believe probably you, at Jen Charlton's meet and greet.
Yes.
And she had specified that it would probably be hard for a Republican governor to do much with a Democrat-controlled General Assembly. Is there anything that you can do to kind of like fight that? Or, I mean, I'm not a big guy for compromise. If you're doing the right thing, you don't have to compromise because
Right.
you're right. Is there? What do you think you can do to kind of counteract that when it comes down to it, or do you just got to just start swinging and hope that it works?
Well, I tell you, when I served in the legislature, the Republicans were the minority party, and we got walloped pretty bad there, and it has certainly not gotten better because of the supermajority party really just kind of having control of the legislature, and they have control of the governor's house. So it's really challenging to get good Republican bills passed. Those issues that are really important to us, like protecting our Second Amendment rights. Pro-life. Of course, we know now. That's in Maryland's Constitution. It's enshrined. So, all right, that's there. Although I'm pro-life, I believe that all babies deserve a right to live. But nonetheless, we really have to look at what can we do to encourage people who just have a small desire to run for political office, and really target those districts that might have that are very moderate, that might lean a little more conservative, may not be too blue. Maybe they're purple districts. Really look at state senators and potential delegates to run in those seats. That's the only way that we're really going to be able to catch our breath, is if we can get more Republican seats, one on the Senate side as well as in the House of Delegates, because the governor can't do it alone. When John and I win this election, it's going to be difficult if you have a supermajority Democrat Party that are passing laws. We're not even veto proof. It's just they get proposed, they get sponsored, they pass into law, and then that's it. So yeah, we just have to really go out, and that's really the role of central committees in every district, to go out and look for potential candidates to run for these seats and focus on those seats that are moderate, not too far blue. It's hard to win Republican seats in very blue counties, but
Right.
yeah.
And my opinion on most of the central committees is well known and written in stone. So I won't talk about that with you. I don't want to put you in a position where you have to either go, no, you're wrong, or defend it. So I'm not going to
No problem. All right.
do that to you. Okay, the big one that I think is probably in a lot of people's mind right now, with the border issue, the riots in L.A. that now are spreading to New York, and I think they've had some issues in Baltimore now with the anti-ICE stuff going on.
Mm.
Public safety and crime.
Mm-hmm.
Maryland has faced challenges with rising crime rates in some areas. What specific strategies or policies would you support as lieutenant governor to enhance public safety and support law enforcement while addressing community concerns?
Right. That's a good question, Seth. With all the crime that is occurring, and not just adults committing these crimes, but even juveniles. The
Yeah.
laws that we have on the books for juveniles, they need amending like yesterday. You can't do much if a 14-year-old, 13, 14-year-old engages in an egregious crime, a criminal act. The laws protect them in such a way that there are not very many consequences that we can give. So we've got to put forth better laws, particularly for those horrific crimes that people may commit, and just kind of support our law enforcement. We do need to support our law enforcement. My father was in law enforcement. He was a deputy sheriff in Memphis, Tennessee, before he passed away many years ago. And he shared, some really scary stories when he would go and serve that warrant on third shift to
Mm-hmm.
people. You don't know what's on the other side of that door when you
Nope.
knock to serve that warrant. It could be someone with a shotgun, someone, with a with a revolver, or whatever the case. It's scary times for our law enforcement, and we need to ensure that they know that they are appreciated for the hard work that they do, for the dangerous work that they do every day. My husband and I were driving home a few nights ago, and it was dark and it was raining on the highway. And we saw a state trooper had pulled a car over, and it was probably like midnight. And my husband says, God bless these people who want to do this kind of work, because that's scary,
Yeah.
to pull someone over. You don't know if that person is going to be respectful, yes sir, no sir, thank you sir, or if they're going to be not safe or not respectful, the other end of that. So
Right.
we need to make sure that we are going to do that. We're not going to make sure, but we are going to do make great efforts to make sure that our law enforcement know that they are supported, that they are appreciated, and that we support them in the dangerous work that they do in our communities with keeping us all safe.
My father is a retired police officer, worked in PG County, and
Mhm.
the same thing. Now that I'm older, he can tell me things that he experienced and went through in PG County, and
Mhm.
he used to do undercover narcotics in downtown DC. So
Ooh,
I,
wow.
I think only people that either done it or have been related to somebody who has understand the pressure that job takes. It's not
Yeah,
like being a banker where at 5 o'clock and you walk out the door, your job is in the building, and now you're done. You're going home and it's over.
right.
Police officers and law enforcement period take that with them home. That's
Yes.
I mean, how many dead bodies can you see before it starts to affect you? You just
That's
can't
true.
forget it. It's with you. And like my father told me, police officers 95% of the time meet and deal with people at the worst possible moment in their life.
That is a good point.
He said you don't meet them on prom night having fun. He goes, you meet
Right.
them on prom night when they've had an accident and one of their buddies is dead, and you're the first person there.
Absolutely.
And I
Because
think
it's
nothing
it's
but respect.
vulnerable. It's vulnerable for that person that they have to, pull over, and it's vulnerable for the law enforcement officer as well.
I have nothing but the utmost respect for law enforcement. And I'm sure you'll agree. My father said it. I've said it. Most of the police officers I know have said it. We're not saying everybody who's a police officer should be a police officer.
Mhm.
There are people behind the badge. You shouldn't be behind the badge, and no one will ever say, no, that's not true. They're all great. but there's also bad doctors. There's also bad bankers. There's bad cooks.
Yes.
We
Yes.
just can't focus on one profession and go, these are the worst of the worst. We need to do the X, Y, and Z. It's everywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You made a good point there, Seth. And we have to focus on, if there is a law enforcement officer out there who has impeded on someone's, constitutional right, then we deal with that police officer. We don't throw a whole blanket over, okay, this is all police officers. This is how they all behave. And certainly I can look back now in deep reflection to know that during the 2021 session with the repeal of LEOBR, that bill was not a good bill. And I'll admit, with my friend Fred Profiter, who I think he's now gonna be I'm gonna call him my wisdom speaker.
He's a good guy.
He drops good wisdom. I remember a Facebook post he made years ago about that particular bill, House Bill 670, that you can't cherry pick the items in that bill. There was some good in that bill, and there were certainly some things that were not good. So, I appreciated his words, and I had an opportunity to share that with him not long ago, that he's exactly right. That bill drove out a lot of good police officers who are just afraid they might lose their job with making a quick split second decision.
Yeah.
Not because the person is black, or it's a black guy that had to get pulled over. Not because it's a white person, but just a split second decision that might cost that person that they pulled over their life. But it's a split second decision, and we can't cast the net and say, okay, you now lose your job, you now lose your pension. That drove off a lot of police officers, and I think that's the damage that bill did. That that wasn't. I think that was probably the unknown consequences that losing good men and women was not intended, but that's what happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, things happen, and hindsight's always 2020.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
my best vision is behind me, because I got a lot to look back
You
on.
know not to make that mistake again. Okay.
I did
That wasn't a good idea. Okay, note that.
So we're getting ready to wrap up. Let me ask you a couple of quick yes or no questions.
Sure.
All right. Second Amendment. Are you for it or against it?
For it.
Border security and applying to Maryland. I mean, do you think we should become a sanctuary state, sanctuary cities? And if so, why? Okay.
No.
Do you believe that maybe the immigration process should be maybe tweaked a little bit to make it not as labor intensive, but still not easy to get in, that might cut down some of the issues?
We have laws on the book right now for immigration. Certainly the process is lengthy. My husband is an immigrant. He came to America many years ago. He's from Guinea, West Africa. He came the right way. Took him a while to become a citizen, but he did it the right way. He's now a naturalized citizen. So we have laws on the book for people who want to pursue becoming a naturalized citizen of the state. You cannot come here illegally.
All right, and these questions you don't have to answer. Like, again, they're not. I don't think they're gotcha, but maybe it's just me. Okay. Support President Trump or don't support President Trump?
I do support his policies. Yes.
Ukraine-Russian war. Should we be involved or not involved?
Not involved.
Prior to what happened, Israel and Gaza. Should we have been involved or not involved?
Oh no! Oh, that one is.
It's a tough one.
Yeah. So the one you said prior
to when we got involved with Iran. So it was just them involved.
Yeah. Oh, God. I'm so on the fence with that. I mean, Israel, Israel is our ally. I don't think we should have boots on the ground over there.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think we need to do that. So I'll leave it there.
It's fair enough, because I feel the same way. Boots on the ground is not an option. I'm all for intelligence sharing, and hey,
yes,
there's some missiles that you may not have, you can use it, but I don't think we should put American lives in jeopardy.
Absolutely. We don't need another war.
No. Mm-hmm. And my son's getting to that age where he can get drafted, so I don't want
that. Yes. No, absolutely not.
I mean, I've been in the military. I was in the Persian Gulf, so I wouldn't call that a war, because it was like us fighting a blind man with no arms. It really
right.
But now things have changed, and I don't want to have to tell my son, good luck. I'll see you in a couple of months when you get back.
Yeah.
or
Right.
anybody have to do it with a child. I don't want that to
Absolutely.
happen. Is there, I have your website running. If not, I will put that back up so people can see that. I told you I don't like computers. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Mr. Tech
There we go.
2025. Sure you don't.
And it just keeps coming down. Let me try it one more time. Okay, there we go. So there's it's www.johnmyrickformarylandgovernor.org. They can go there and learn more about your campaign and both of you. Is there any upcoming events you're going to that you'd like people to come out and check you out at? Or
Let's see here. We don't have any formal fundraisers or anything scheduled right now, but we are hot on the campaign trail, and people can find that information on the website on the events tab. This week is a busy week between John and I. This Thursday, we'll be in a parade, and on the 4th of July, we'll be in 2 parades, one in the morning, one in the evening. It's going to be a long day. Hopefully, it won't be 100 degrees.
I was going to say, I hope it's not too hot. That's a lot of
Yes, so
walking.
people can go to our website and see where we're going to be at any given day.
And I'd also like everybody who's watching now and later to understand that running for any position in politics is expensive.
Oh, yes.
If you can only get $5 or $6, that is incredible.
Many people giving $5 and $20 can go a long way.
Yes.
And certainly if people want to max out, we would love you to max out at $6,000. We would love that. But not everyone can do that.
Oh, yeah.
If you can do 25, 30, do it, recurring every month, that can, at least we anticipate that that's coming when we know that it's recurrent. But yes, that anything helps. Anything helps.
So like the doctor just said, 5, 10, 15, 20. Give it when you can. If you can't give money, give your time. They could use door knockers, people to hand out information. Anything helps. Absolutely. And if one thing that I've noticed that Republicans aren't very good at is getting out and helping.
Yes.
Democrats can mobilize in a heartbeat.
I mean, that is something that I envy about them, that we need to take note of.
Oh, yeah. So if you can help them, help them. Even if you think, I can only do it for an hour. An hour is better than nothing.
Absolutely.
Help them.
You're exactly right.
Well, Brenda's been awesome. And I know I'm going to see you again at either one of the meetings or about doing stuff. It was great having you on.
Thank you.
And John are welcome to come back whenever you want to. We can hang out again. And again, with the club, just let Fred know if you want to talk. He'll make time for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Seth. I appreciate it.
You have a good evening. I hope it stays cool for you when you're out in a parade.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
God bless you, too.
All right.
All right. That was Dr. Brenda Cham. I think I got it right this time. I wrote it down just to make sure. Let me make sure I got it right. Yes, Cham. I did it. Yes. She's still watching. I got it right. So she's running for lieutenant governor in Maryland with John Myrick running for governor. Like I said, I know her off the podcast. I know her in the real world. She's a very intelligent woman. Like I said, we've had our issues, but she's very approachable. She never once have I ever seen her get defensive about anything. You can feel free to ask her any questions. And Mr. Myrick's the same way. Very approachable people. And that's what you look for in leadership. Somebody who that can talk to you and not at you. And that's what you get with that ticket. And I hope you all take this opportunity to look on their website, contact them, and talk to them when you can. I think it's really good. So yeah, I'm glad she came on. Like I said, it was my fault. It was such short planning. Crazy week. It's been nuts for me. It's going to be nuts going down the road, but I'm glad we could get her on here and you all got a chance to listen to some of what she thought. I mean, nothing she said you could really argue with. It all makes perfect sense. It's always good to hear somebody that uses common sense and doesn't give you like a rehearsed answer. Someone that you can tell is being genuine and talking from the heart. And that's the impression I got. I am not trying to sway anybody. I'm just letting you know, I think she was genuine and I appreciate the direct common sense answers she gave. There was no political ease in any of that. There was no political speak. It was pretty much, boom, this is how I feel and this is what I would like to do. And I'm glad she explained what lieutenant governor is because I was kind of fuzzy on that. I didn't know so much what they did. And I honestly thought they got a place to live too. I thought the governor gets the mansion. I thought maybe they got like a townhouse or something. I don't know. So I'm glad she came on and spoke, and I appreciate her time. And she's welcome to come back whenever she wants to. And so is Mr. Myrick. They can come on and we can talk and discuss everything. And yes, Cindy, I will have Dr. Cham, yes, back again if she'd like to, like, open invitation whenever she'd like to. And same thing with her running mate, John Myrick. He can come whenever he likes to, too. I'm not, and that goes for Democrats. If there's a Democrat that wants to come on here, that's fine. I am not going to limit who can come on and talk about what they want to talk about. I don't think a Democrat would feel comfortable on my show. And I would treat them the same way I treat any other candidate. I wouldn't ask them gotcha questions. I wouldn't back them into a corner. I'd let them speak, say what they got to say, and then let you, the people who watch us, make your decision. It's not for me to make your decisions for you or try to guide people into like giving you false information to make a decision. I just let them talk. And people will tell you who they are if you let them talk long enough. And with Dr. Cham, she could talk all day and you're going to know exactly who she is. A very honest, open person who has a direction she wants to go. So sometimes letting people talk is great. There are other people who probably don't want to talk because after 10 minutes, you want to throat punch them because you're like, dude, you're just a jerk. Unlike Mr. Myrick and Dr. Thame. So there we go with that. I'm glad she was on. And I hope she can come back another time and we can discuss things further. All right. So there's been some breaking. Well, I don't want to say breaking. Things have happened today. We had the explosion of the van in D.C. I don't know if you heard about that. Earlier today, it was a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, so their work vehicle. Apparently, people are saying it exploded. Other people are saying it caught fire, and this is the picture of it. From a little bit of reading I've done, that particular model of Mercedes has a recall notice on it going back to 2023 for this very issue, that something in the circuit board crosses, gets hot, and causes fire, and can cause the van to burst into flame. And the explosion, they're saying, were the tires bursting from the heat. None of the buildings around it were damaged from what I read. No fire spread. It was just the van. So in my opinion, I think it was just a recalled van that never got the fix that needed, and this is what happened. I'm not going to say it was a terrorist attack or a failed terrorist attack. I'm just saying right now it seems to be a legitimate, hey, this van should have got fixed and we never got it fixed. But I'm sure more will come out about that as the day goes on today and tomorrow. If you paying attention to the Supreme Court, they've ruled this past Friday, I believe, that parents in Maryland and I think across the country now can pull their children from LGBTQ lessons that their school pushes on them. So it used to be you couldn't. The school could refuse you pulling your student from it, your child from it. Now you can tell the school to kick rocks. I'm pulling my kid, and there's nothing they can do about it. I completely agree with it. I don't think any parent should be told what their child will and will not learn. I don't think any parent, within reason, should be overridden when it comes to their child. I think parents are the ultimate decision makers when it comes to their children, and that's where the buck stops. If a parent says no, that's the end of it. And I'm not saying in every case. I'm saying when it comes to education, parents are the ultimate decider, and that's how it should be. I think the Supreme Court got this right. Of course, not everybody who's pro-LGBTQ is saying this is all, homophobic and transphobic, and I don't think it is. I just think there are people who have religious beliefs that don't want their children hearing it, and that's fine. Like I said, you can't force anybody to do something that they don't want to do, and I think that's what the Supreme Court is saying. Everybody has the God-given right to say, no, I don't want my child, or I don't want to hear about that. And it's not going to breed hatred, as I've read some people say. It's not going to breed hatred. Not at all. What will breed hatred is if you force people to do something with their children that they don't want their children to do. Then you're going to get resentment and you're going to get hate from that. So I think this is just a common sense ruling that people are blowing up to something that it shouldn't even be. Let parents make the decision for their kids. It's really that simple. And my favorite, this is my favorite. I don't know if you know who this gentleman is or young lady. I don't know. She is, or he is, Khalif, and I can't pronounce the rest of the name, who's a boxer in the Olympics, a female boxer in the Olympics who won gold. Was accused of being a male. I think it was the IBO. Banned him from boxing because he didn't pass a test that would prove, gender or something like that. But they've come out now and said if he wishes to continue boxing as a female, he will have to take a scientific test that will prove his biological sex. They're no longer going to take his word for it. And until that point, he's no longer allowed to box in the Olympics or anywhere that is sanctioned by the International Boxing Association, so the IBO. I agree. I mean, this all can be put to rest. If he's a woman, take the test, prove that you're a woman. It's people making a mountain out of a molehill. Uh, I I don't understand why people. If you're a woman, just prove it. If you're a man, you're a man. Then go box men. But I'll tell you why I just want to box men. I've seen him box women, and a man will kick his ass. I mean, if he gets in the ring with what, let's say Dante Wilder or someone like that, that dude will hurt him. So that's probably why he's not jumping at the chance to prove anything because he knows he's going to come back. He's a male and he's not going to be able to fight girls anymore. So that's the breaking news. The first one, the exploding van, don't jump to conclusions. Don't get all panicky and say, oh my God, we're being attacked. Just wait. I'm willing to bet you dollars to donuts it's a recalled vehicle that just wasn't recalled. And that was exactly what they said would happen happened. I mean, no other buildings were damaged. I don't believe anybody was hurt. It was just the van, and it caught fire, and the only explosions were the tires bursting from the heat. That story may change, but that's what they're saying now. And you know what? It makes sense. I mean, at some point, you got to trust the government. You can't continually think they're lying to you all the time. And until they can prove that they're lying, you have to assume that this is the truth. And it makes sense. It makes sense. And if it's a terrorist attack, we'll deal with it. I mean, thank God, at the end of the day, nobody got hurt. No buildings were damaged. We can live with that. That we can live with. So last week, I talked about stupid people in politics because that's like a target-rich environment. It's almost like shooting fish in a barrel. It's not even fair at this point to do it because it's no challenge. You can just, and you're going to point to a stupid person. I don't understand this guy at all. Jamal Bowman has said that black people are fat and unhealthy because we get called the N-word every day. Yeah, just read that for a second. Internalize that. They're fat and unhealthy because we get called the N-word every day. Come on. I don't believe that it happens. I mean, maybe it happens every day to different people, but I don't think it's every day to everybody. I don't think people who are obese and out of shape are that way because someone has insulted them. I really don't think that. I think this is just a cop-out. I think this is just a way to not, again, like I talked about last weekend, to shirk any accountability or responsibility for your own person by blaming everything else around you for that. I'm unhealthy because people make fun of me. I'm overweight. I'm overweight because I can't wear red shirts or something like that. You're overweight because you've made poor decisions. You eat unhealthy or you don't exercise or you have a medical condition. It's not because someone calls. I've been called a kike more times than I can count, and I'm losing weight. So maybe it's different for Jewish people. Maybe if you insult us, we lose weight. I don't know. But I don't blame the knuckle dragging mouth breathers that call me a kike for any health issues I have because they're my health issues. I just don't understand. It just seems in this country that we have a majority of people that shirk responsibility, that shirk accountability for anything that happens to them. They look for things around them to blame rather than go, you know what, maybe I need to reevaluate how I'm living. Maybe that's why I'm unhealthy. Maybe that's why I'm overweight. Maybe that's why X, Y, Z. And this, I could go on for hours just on this dude. Really, I could just talk about this guy for hours. How asinine and how his statement is more damaging to black people than what he's saying. He's saying that if you read between the lines, what he's saying is black people are not smart enough to manage their lives because other people call them names. They just don't know what to do. So they just eat because they don't know how to react. And we just had a doctor on here. Do you think people calling her names affects her? Like, oh no, now I got to eat 25 hamburgers or no. Words are just words. And granted, some words are foul and horrible, and I disagree with them. But at the end of the day, a word only has the power that you give it. If you listen to the word and you laugh it off, it's got no power. It's not going to affect you. Like when I get called kike, when I was younger, I'd fight. I get called a kike now, I laugh because most of the people that use that word don't know what it means. Most of the people that use the N word don't know the meaning of the word. They just know it offends people, so I'm going to say it. Most of these people you got to feel sorry for. Like, dude, you're the most uneducated fool I've met in my life. Do you even know what the word you're using means, or you just use it because you know it's going to elicit a response? I don't agree with this guy at all. I don't. I've never had somebody call me a name that affects me so much that I eat and eat and eat. I'm in control of my emotions. I'm in control of my body. Nobody else is, especially with words. I don't. At one time, this country was full of strong people of every race and color. Just strong people that nobody, you're going to call me name, whatever. I don't care. And they went on with their day. It just seems now that everybody's offended and affected and damaged by everything. Everything has some negative outcome. Like if you don't let transgender boys play in girl sports, you're going to ruin them for the rest of their lives. No, you're not. They're going to be just fine. They were just fine before they could. They'll be just fine now. Stop coddling people. Stop giving people excuses to use for poor life decisions. Or mental illness should not be applauded. It should be treated. Those people need help. Someone calls you name and you automatically say that's why I'm unhealthy. That's a cop-out. Stop it. You're insulting people before you that went through far worse than being called a name and lived strong and made something of themselves. I'm going to have a stroke. And this woman, I really think that when I first saw her and listened to what she had to say, I literally thought it was a joke, like a skit on Saturday Night Live, just listening to her talk. And then someone told me, no, she's a legitimate member of Congress and was elected to her position. And I wanted to punch my TV. I didn't know how to act. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. When she talks, it's like listening to an angry teenager who just makes up stuff to throw out there, trying to get somebody to agree with her. I mean, like this, the Dems are looking for the safest white boy for president. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Does she even know what that means? I mean, there's some just one hit wonders with her. Let me find my notes here on her because it's ridiculous. She's also said it's not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. Literally, that's what she said. It's not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. It's not a crime. She even said it in her little speech that it's illegal. She went on to CNN and said 80% of the worst crimes in America have been committed by white supremacists. What? Where do these people get their facts? I just mean politicians. They spew these numbers out. And most people are like, oh, well, if she said 80%, it's got to be 80% because she's a politician. Why would she lie? Why would she lie? Because she's a politician trying to get to the next election cycle and get elected. She was voted in, so you really can't get on her. All you can do is hold the people that voted for her accountable and go, really, this is what you want representing you? Someone who thinks it says it's illegal to enter the country illegally, but it's not a crime. Is my nose bleeding yet? Because it really feels like it's bleeding. You can't make this stuff up. People vote for this. They vote for this, and they'll turn around and go, man, our country's so screwed up. I can't figure out why. Did you mean to say that out loud? You don't know why this country's... Look at what we're electing. Look at this. It's on both sides of the aisle, too. Dems don't have the market cornered on stupidity. We got some stupid asses on our side, too. It's like a disease that's contagious. Stupidity spreads like a cancer. Like I've said before, if I could make this up, I'd be the world's richest screenwriter in Hollywood. If I could make stuff up like this, I'd be a billionaire. That would be like Steven Spielberg times 10. And then there's this idiot that me and Dr. Chan were just talking about. This moron in New York who's running for mayor. Free supermarkets, free healthcare, free daycare, wants to defund the police, has never once condemned what happened on Israel on October 7th, rejects capitalism, rejects Jewish rights. I mean, the guy all around is a communist. And he's the worst kind of communist because he doesn't admit it. He just, I'm just trying to help the people. Isn't that the same thing Karl Marx said? Just trying to help the people. New York, you have a chance to prove to everybody that you got some brains in that city. Really. You've got a chance right now to stand up and go, look, yeah, we're a liberal city, but we're not a communist city. We're not going to vote for this jerk. He's gone. Take the opportunity to get rid of this guy. I mean, really, this man is dangerous. He's a threat to democracy. He's a threat to anybody, obviously, that doesn't agree with him. New York City is a dangerous place with the police. It's a city. And this guy wants to defund the police. I've never understood why people want to defund the police. I really don't, because they do something that I couldn't do. They do something that most people can't do. So why would you want to take money from them? I'm not saying give them billions and billions of dollars, but let's not take what we've given him. And what we've given him isn't much. And then he rejects Israel. You know, it's a real place, right, dude? It's over there near the Mediterranean. It's been there for a couple centuries. It's real. It's a real place. And he rejects capitalism, but he lives in a capitalistic society and benefits from that. But he rejects it. I wonder if he's going to turn over all his money to the poor and give his house to people that don't have houses. He's not going to do that because that's not truly how he feels. He talks a really good game. And he rejects Jewish rights. Yeah, I'm getting a headache. You know, I want to come on here one day and do this show and have nothing but great things to talk about. Like, hey, the Democrats and Republicans agreed on this and they're going to do this and we're all going to benefit from it. Just once. I would really like to do that. But just when I think I can, and I think we've gotten to a place where I can talk about fun things like that, a pimple pops up on the ass of the world like this guy, and we're screwed. Then I'm back to this, feel my head throb, my heart pound, and I just want to, you know. So New York, please, you've got a chance, like I said, to prove to the world you are not this ignorant. I hope you take that opportunity and run with it and make sure this guy doesn't run for, I wouldn't even elect him the dog catcher or the head of sanitation at that point. I wouldn't let him hold any position at all in that city. So please, you all can do this. Take care of him. I need a break. I'm starting to twitch. Let's pay some bills and I'll be right back.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
This is so amazing and miraculous. We've never had a president in the history of our nation doing this. And we hope to God that he continues doing this forever and ever. Thank you. God bless you, everybody. And God bless President Trump.
And God bless you.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with the America's Pulse Network. I am the White House correspondent right here in the heart of D.C. as President Trump is celebrating 250 years of America and the military.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
That's Alexandra Levine, our White House correspondent. Very smart lady. She's a fellow tribes person, so that makes her even more important. But yeah, check her out. She's got a podcast too. We got her. We have Damon the Hammer Galdo, who's got his podcast and a radio show. He's like really important. And then the man behind it all that you can't see, that kind of lurks in the shadows, the puppeteer, Damon Sherrod. He runs everything. He makes sure that everything runs smoothly. And when we look like a fool, it's because of something we did, not something technical. So we appreciate him and all that he does. And he puts up with me. I mean, I've said that before, and I don't think you'll understand how difficult I can be at times. What's the word I'm looking for? How much of an idiot, jerk I can be. So I appreciate, and I probably don't tell him enough, or the other podcasters on this network I don't tell enough. Thank you. Thank you very much for not throttling me when you see me with a baseball bat. I appreciate it. So, I don't know if you've heard or maybe you live in the forest and a tree and don't have electricity or any way to communicate with the outside world. But America dropped some loving on Iran. Whole lot of loving. Bomb their nuclear facilities because everybody knows Iran should not have nuclear capability. Even the Democrats admit that, yeah, Iran should not have nuclear weapons. There you go. So we played the old rope-a-dope, said, oh, no, we're not going to do anything. We're going to give you 2 weeks to, figure out what you want to do. We'll wait. We're going to wait. And then we dropped the hammer and really just stuck it to it, which made me laugh. Because nobody came to their aid because everybody realizes, they shouldn't have a weapon. They shouldn't even have guns in that country, but they do. So we shouldn't give them a nuclear weapon because they'll use it. Those crazy sons of bitches will use it, and most likely use it on Israel, who they've sworn to kill and wipe off the mat, but having their constitution to kill the Jews and Israel. They don't need to have a weapon of mass destruction, ever, ever, ever. But in our country, rather than applaud what happened and, salute our servicemen and women that ran that mission and the pilots that dropped the bombs and made the world a safer place, we get this schmuck. You know what? Even if you don't think the bombing did what we intended it to do, shut the fuck up. Really. If you have doubts, go talk to the president, talk to SecDef, but don't go on the news with your 85,000-pound head and your ass. It really, his face looks like a scrotum, all wrinked up, and then talk trash. I don't understand I know why they do it, because people like him don't like this country. They don't like us doing anything that helps the world. They don't like the military. They don't like the police. They don't even like themselves. So anytime they get a chance to bash us, they go right for it. And that's the one thing about them. They're very predictable. All you got to do is go, hey, there's two choices. One is a good thing for the country. One is a bad thing for the country. And you're going to know it's going to be option B for them. Always going to be option B. They're never going to do anything for the country or say anything good about the country. They're always going to have some shitty thing to say about something we've done and how horrible it was, blah, blah, blah. It'll go on and on and on. So it doesn't surprise me when these fools do what they do and say what they say. It just surprises me that some people are still surprised by it. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. You ever heard the story of the scorpion and the frog going across the creek? The scorpion can't swim, so the frog goes, hey, get on my back. I'm going to take you to the other side, and we'll both be safe. Halfway across the creek, the scorpion stings the frog, and this frog goes, well, why'd you do that? I'm going to die and you're going to drown. And he says, a scorpion's got to do what a scorpion does. Democrats got to do what Democrats do. Don't be shocked. And if you applaud what he said, you're an idiot. I'm tired of trying to be nice and go, well, I can understand maybe you're an idiot. And feel free to move out to Iran. If you think Iran's such a great place and the people are so great, the government is so awesome, go ahead and move over to Iran, put on your hijab, pray 25,000 times a day, and get the shit kicked out of you because you sneeze and you don't use a blue handkerchief, whatever the laws over there are. Just move over there. We'll be better off without you anyway, because we got enough idiots in this country. We need to start export. That should be our major export, idiots. We should be shipping idiots to other countries. Like the ones that want to support Palestine, ship them all to Gaza. They know how to deal with them. They'll kill them. The first time they step in line or criticize the government, they will kill them. The first time the gays that are for Palestine go over there and they're holding hands and kissing in the streets, they will throw them off of buildings or stone them to death. Send them over there. Let them live in reality. Jerk their dumb asses out of the little fantasy world they live in, and put them over there in reality and let them deal with the consequences of their actions. Let them do it. Gays for Palestine is kind of like chickens for KFC. These people just astound me. Just their stupidity knows no bounds. And I think Einstein said it best when he said, stupidity and the galaxy are boundless, but I think the galaxy might have an end. So he even thought stupid people were just ridiculously stupid forever, and it goes on and on and on. So in response to Scrotum Head, Secretary Pete Hegseth, and I like that last name. I like half his last name, the Seth part. That's pretty cool. He said that President Trump directed the most complex and secretive military operation in history, and it was a resounding success. Who would know more about what happened? The Secretary of Defense or some schmuck who thinks he's still relevant? I'm going to go with the Secretary of Defense. I think he knows a little bit more about the military operation that happened in Iran than some idiot who probably wears Depends undergarments and has to have help dressing himself in the morning. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So the Secretary of Defense says it was it was perfection. It worked. I mean, they have pictures of the holes. They said they dropped like 6 bombs. You only see 3 holes. So where did the other 3 bombs go? Down into the holes. They're bunker busters, and they did what they had to do. And then, of course, you have the idiot Iranian Ayatollah. Oh, they didn't hurt us at all. All that stuff was moved. They didn't. It was a waste of their time. Do you expect them to say they kicked our ass? Good Lord, they blasted our stuff out. We got nothing left. It was the most damaging raid in the history of our country. We don't know what we're going to do. We're screwed. Do you really expect them to? Would anybody? If we got bombed and we got our asses kicked, do you think we'd get in the news and go, "Yeah, you kicked our ass, Jesus. You bombed out all our nuclear facilities. We got nothing left. What are we going to do?" No one will ever tell you that you've done that. So if you believe that and you're like, well, look, we wasted it, you're an idiot. Again, I'll buy you a ticket to Iran. You can live in Tehran for a while. Eat some falafel. So yeah, I don't take anything that they say seriously. I don't take anything any country that just got bombed says seriously. Oh, it was a waste of their time. Nothing was affected. Okay, then why are you on the news telling us nothing was affected? That tells me something was affected and you're trying to play it off. I don't know. So yeah, if you don't want to listen to Schumer, you listen to Schumer. And people who listen to Schumer, I like to call stupid. But it's your life. You live it the way you want to live it. Listen to it when you listen to it. I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, Iran got what they deserved. I've said last week, I'll say it again. We should have done this years ago. It shouldn't have got to the point now where we're actually worried that they're days away or already have nuclear weapons. It shouldn't have got to this point. It should have started when we first found out, hey, they're building a nuclear facility to enrich uranium. Should have bombed them that day. Really, we shouldn't have waited. Shouldn't have got this far. Hopefully, we won't get that far again. And if what they're saying is true, we didn't do any damage, we need to go there tomorrow and bomb them again. Because of all the countries in the world, Iran is top 3, like I said, that has no business having nuclear capability. None. I don't care what business they need it for. No. It's like a dog that poops on your floor. You rub his nose in it and you say, bad dog. We should rub their nose in it and go, bad Iran. No nuclear weapons or power for you. No. Bad Ayatollah. But we got people like Chuck Schumer, that schmuck, who would sooner have another country blow up our White House or blow up something in Israel than defend them. He'd rather let the barbarians that are at the gate, he'd rather let them in because, that's how they are. And again, I'm not shocked. And if I'm coming off like I'm shocked about it, I apologize because trust me, I'm not shocked by those people. Not shocked by what they do or what they say. I hope the Secretary of Defense ignores everything the Democrats are saying negative. I hope the men and women that were involved in that operation are ignoring everything they're hearing from the Democrats. And I hope they understand that the American people are behind them. We understand why they did what they did. It had to be done. I'm of the opinion we should have dropped the bomb twice on them. If we could have dropped 10, we should have dropped 20. If we could have done 20, should have done 40. I don't think there's anything called such. There's no such thing as overkill when it comes to dealing with countries like that. I mean, they fund terrorism around the globe. They are not a good neighbor. They should be eradicated. That's just me. That's also why I'm not president or I'm not in charge of anything. That's very, very important because I would go off like this 7 or 8 times a day. I'm just being honest. I'm telling you, I would lose my shit 2 or 3 times at least before lunch. But I'm happy we got the Secretary of Defense that we have. I'm happy with the president we have. I'm happy with the military we have. And I'm glad they did what they did. If there were civilians that were killed in the bombing, that's horrible. I'm sorry. but maybe you all should be working on your country and getting rid of the regime you have in charge. Instead of blaming, like earlier, stop blaming everybody around you for the problems you have. It's not our fault. So you need to stand up and take care of your country. Every country that's had a bad leadership has done it. France did it. We've done it. Other countries have fought revolutions to change their government because it no longer served the people. Maybe it's time Iran does it and gets rid of those monsters that are running their country because they're not doing anything good. It's horrible.
Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country, America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Sorry about that. My iPad got unplugged. That's where I keep my notes, and it was dying, so I don't want to look like a fool looking at something that's just fading out slowly. So, a lot of winning going on the last couple of days. Supreme Court made some rulings, like I talked about earlier, about the parents' ability to opt out of lessons they don't feel align with their beliefs so they can pull their children out of them. President Trump has worked out a peace deal with the Congo and Rwanda leaders. It seems everything he's touching recently just really, really turns to gold. And that's what he's done. It's what he's supposed to do, end wars. Everybody said, well, we bombed Iran, he's going to start a war. No, he ended a war. Pretty much ended two wars, a war with us and them and a war with them and Israel. Kind of ended that. Peace through power, And it works. People don't think it does, but obviously it does. The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision along ideological lines on Friday, sided with Trump's administration requesting to limit universal injunctions issued by federal courts. The opinion was a birthright citizen case, and it was highly anticipated. So what basically that means is these judges, federal judges around the world, just can't stop Trump from saying, hey, we can't do this anymore. They've overstepped their bounds. Supreme Court on Friday upheld a Texas law requiring consumers to provide age verification in order to gain access to commercial websites that provide sexually explicit material. It was the first time that the court has imposed requirements on adult consumers in order to protect minors from having such access. I'm kind of iffy on that one. I think that's a parental job. Parents should spend more time with their kids, knowing what they're doing online, rather than go on the computer and do what you want to do because I'm too busy. So I'm kind of iffy on that one. Parents should be aware of what their child's doing, especially on the internet. I mean, you've got pornography, you've got pedophiles, you've got groomers, you've got all sorts of sickos on the computer. You should be paying attention anyway. And with the way technology is now, you can set up parameters to websites they can't go to and things like that. So I'm not sure if I'm big on the government stepping in on that and saying, hey, we're going to do what parents should be doing. The Supreme Court allowed South Carolina to ban or to bar Planned Parenthood access to federal Medicaid funding for non-abortion services. The decision allows the state to ban the organization from getting Medicaid reimbursements for cancer screenings and other non-abortion related care. I think they should take the funding away from period to include abortions. I don't want to fund that. It's not my responsibility to fund your abortion. I mean, condoms are free. You can get birth control that's free, or you can pay for the shot they give you that's good for 3 months. So there's so many options. And if you're too stupid to use those, and then, I want you to pay for my abortion. No. I mean, do you not know how babies are made? Do you not understand the whole concept of, when a bee goes to a flower, has no one given you the sex talk? If you don't know how kids are made, maybe you shouldn't be having sex in the first place. And if you do have sex and you're too stupid to put a condom on or to have the shot or take the pill or the other thousands of other birth control options there are out there, you're an idiot. I mean, it goes back to personal accountability. You're responsible for your life. I am not. No one else is responsible for your life. And we shouldn't be funding, I don't care if we're funding nose jobs or abortions or anything like that. If it's something as a result of a poor decision or you were unprepared, that's not my responsibility. It's not the government's responsibility to bail you out. That's your responsibility. And if you don't want to have kids, use birth control. It's really that simple. And if you get pregnant, it's on you. There are hundreds of thousands of people out there that can't have children that would be more than glad to take your child if you decide you don't want to keep it. Really. Really. Abortion is not a form of birth control, but unfortunately in this country, that's how it's viewed, and we fund it. And it shouldn't be that way. And I might lose some people here, but I'm for abortion if the mother's life is in jeopardy. I think that, then yes, abortion should be allowed, because if the mother's going to die, that's ridiculous. Protect her. I completely agree with that. And again, I might upset some people here when it comes to rape or incest. I don't. I can understand why the woman might not want to carry that child to term. I can understand that. I can understand both sides of that. I can. I imagine that'd be a horrible situation to be in. And that decision probably wouldn't come lightly on either side, landing on either side of that. I just can't imagine that. I hope nobody I know ever has to go through that. But that's just how I feel. So yeah, the Supreme Court again, using common sense. None of this should surprise anybody that has an IQ above 2. There's nothing they ruled there that is like, oh my God, that's crazy. I mean, other than the, age verification for people going to porn sites. Again, that may be a little bit of an overstep. That's a parent's job to monitor their children. I don't feel comfortable with the government doing that. That's just me. And I don't think they went far enough with Planned Parenthood. That funding should be cut completely. Really, it should. I don't think urgent care gets federal funding. I don't think, but these like pre-hospital places like urgent care, places like that, they don't get, as far as I know, they don't get billions of dollars a year to run their facilities. Why should anybody else? And anyway, you're supporting Margaret Sanger, who's probably one step down from Hitler. I mean, really, if you know anything about history, you know anything about her, she was probably Hitler's wet dream as far as women go. I mean, really, she was just a low piece of shit that started all this just to kill black babies. I mean, let's be honest about it. So I don't know how anybody could support Planned Parenthood to begin with. And if you are, you're just ignorant of history, and maybe you shouldn't breed anyway. See, there should be a license. I mean, you have to have a license to drive, license to fish, license to hunt, license to get married, but you don't need a license to have a child. There's no testing you have to go through. There's no background check that you have to go through to have a child. I think there should be. I think that's one of the most important things we do as a human being, and it can happen to anybody willy-nilly. Like you got people with 25 kids that are living on the government. If there was a license required, not saying a license to have one kid, you can have as many kids as you want, but you just need to be licensed. You need to be checked out. Cindy, let me see. You don't think online porn sites should have to verify the age of the person logging on? I think that's a parental issue. I think parents need to, like I said, spend time monitoring their children and what they're doing online. And like I said, I'm not a techie, but I know there's programs and things you can set on your computer where they can't go to certain sites. They just can't. It's password protected. I don't think the government should be playing dad. I think that's a parental issue, and it should remain a parental issue. If anything, the law should be if your child accesses pornography and it costs them money, you got to pay. You're not getting off because it was a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old looked at, Brenda Big Boobs. You should have been paying attention to what your kid was doing. You're stuck with the bill. I think a lot of these things that involve minors, we need to start holding the parents just as equally as accountable. And I think we would see a lot of reduction in incidences involving minors if the child's parents were held accountable to. I think that would kind of light a fire in some of these parents' ass to stop being their kid's friend and be their kid's parent. and start being that parent and making sure they know what's going on. Hold on. So if a 14-year-old Bobby buys crack from an adult off the street, it's Bobby's parents' concern. I'm not sure. Crack is a little different than porn. Crack is an illegal drug for anybody. Parent, minor, child, it's illegal. It's a controlled substance. It's illegal. You go to jail for it. And anybody caught with crack or cocaine goes to jail. It doesn't matter your age. And that's something that is punishable. You get punished for that. I don't think, again, it's just my opinion. I don't think once the government does something, they don't stop. It never becomes less. So now that they can, if that's passed, and now the government can monitor and make it to, hey, you need to fill out this form, or however they're going to do it to get on a porn site, it's not going to stop there. It's always going to be something more added to that. It's going to continue. And before you know it, you're going to have to show your ID to buy soda or fill out a form to do this or fill out a form to do that. I don't think that, I think parents are given far too many opportunities not to be parents nowadays. There's too many outs for them. Now there's this one more out for them. The government will take care of that. They got to fill a form so Bobby can't go look at porn. Well, that's really mom and dad's job. Ask a porn. Oh, I'm not saying it's not harmful. I'm just saying it's one will kill you and involves a criminal underground on the street, drug dealers and cartels. And one is mentally damaging. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, is illegal business. Pornography, for the most part. There's illegal pornography. And I'm not talking about illegal pornography. I'm talking about Playboy and Hustler and whatever. I don't know. Whatever else there is out there. I just really think that's a parent's job when it comes to a minor. I mean, I look at it this way. Parents were upset that their children were being forced by the government to participate in LGBTQ lessons. They fought that, and I agree with it. The government should not be telling you what you can and can't do when it comes to your children. But on the other hand, it's okay if the government tells you that your child can't go there, we'll take care of it. I don't think that's how it should be. Again, I think you need to be a parent. And I'm not talking about you, Cindy. That's mean in general, you, all of us. There are far too many parents that want to be their kids' friends. That's the problem. That's why you have these kids that are thinking they're girls when they're boys and boys when they're girls, because no parent has ever sat them down and go, look, you have a problem. We're going to get you help. They're depending on other people to do it. Or they just don't bother themselves with it. If Johnny wants to be Jenny, that's fine. I don't care. I'll be the most woke parent on the street. I'll get invited to all the parties. I just think parents need to take a step back and become parents. And again, I'm not talking about you. And you know that. You know what I mean. And I'm sorry I'm whipping through this. Again, we're running low on time. But yeah, that's my opinion. Like I said, these are my opinions. You don't have to agree with them. And I'd rather you didn't. I'd rather you form your own opinion and come up with your own conclusions. I just say this, number one, because I don't want to have a heart attack. And I just want people to think. Pay the bills one more time. We'll come back and we'll start wrapping things up. Maybe. I told you I hate computers. I hate computers. That was me hitting the mouse.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Yep. Once again, a lot of podcasters on here. Great shows, great people, very intelligent, know what they're talking about. Check them out. It'll be worth your time. And if you're interested in having a podcast on this network, just reach out to the our page on X, which is America's Pulse Network on X. And I think if you direct message Mr. Sherrod, he will get back to you. Or the website. You can go on the website. I'm sorry, I'm burping. I've been drinking soda, and I'm not trying to burp in your face, so I'm trying to keep it in. So we're going to burn through this next session because, like I said, we're running out of time, and we got things I got to do, and I want to get to it because it's important. Illegal immigration and ICE has become a very contentious issue with some people. People who don't believe in law and order and think everybody should just be able to do what they want to do, and things just go willy-nilly, and that's fine. This is a business. I'm not sure of where. It says ICE off my property, get a warrant. This moron doesn't realize ICE doesn't need a warrant. If there are illegal immigrants in your building, they can come grab them. I think that this company or business probably doesn't fill out I-9s, and they realize if ICE comes in, they're going to lose their entire workforce. So it's more about covering their ass than protecting illegal immigrants. They don't want to get fined. And the best way to avoid that is you fill out the I-9 that everybody knows what that is. You got 2 forms of ID. You fill it out before you can get a job. Standard. Like I said, I'm willing to bet this place doesn't do that, and they're scared. It's not that difficult to understand. If you're here illegally, you're going to go. They gave you a chance to self-deport. I think you still can self-deport now. I'm not sure what that situation is, but there was a chance for you to do it, and you could come back in the right way. And you chose not to. So, yeah, we're going to find you. We're going to cuff you. And then we're going to send you back to the country you came from. It's probably the flag that you're waving in America, bitching about us while you're waving the flag of the country you left. You know, those people are really. Yeah, you can go on. Producer just told me you can go onto a website and get yourself self-deported. There you go. It's easy as the push of a button. www.getmyassoutofhere.com. Kilmar Abreu Garcia is to remain in jail while attorneys spar whether he'll be swiftly deported. He's not a citizen of the country. Why is there a back and forth? Why is there even a debate? Get his ass out. He's a human trafficker. He's associated with one of the most dangerous gangs in the world. Get his ass out of here. What morons are fighting for this man to stay here? I don't. If your next door neighbor was selling children and he's from another country, would you fight for him to stay here? Because that's what this guy's doing. It's the same thing. Same thing. Human trafficking. And people are fighting for him. Those people disgust me. I mean, anybody who fights for someone like that, whether he's an illegal immigrant, a natural citizen, or a legal immigrant, you're disgusting. The man's a monster. Who knows who he's hurt? The harm he's caused. But people are fighting for him. He has rights. He's got no goddamn rights. The minute he came into this country illegally, he lost any right he may have thought he had. They're so tired of everybody fighting for everybody else's rights and not concerned about the rights of the people in this country here legally. You heard the Dr. Cham talk about her husband's from another country. He did it legally. How do you think he feels sitting back going, man, it took me years and thousands of dollars to be in this country, and these morons think they can do it overnight and not have to pay a dime? It's a slap in the face to anybody who's followed the process to become a citizen. It's really, that's all it is. And this young lady in the PM of Israel or Italy apparently agrees with me. A Pakistani imam is a title of a holy man for a a Muslim temple, had been in Italy for 30 years and gave a fiery sermon. And in this sermon, he said, every Muslim must fight the infidels or face catastrophic consequences. Wasn't too smart. The next day, that Miss Maloney made a bold move, and she personally Didn't ask somebody else to do it. She told somebody, get his ass out of my country. Don't do it next week. Don't make a big scene about it. Just do it. I respect that. You can't go into somebody else's country and then tell people to fight the country that you're in. Because if you do, and you do it in Italy, apparently they're going to throw your ass right out the next day and not even bat an eye. So this week or this month is Pride Month, and that's great. If you're gay and you're proud, that's fine. I'm not knocking it. That's your life. So if you're an adult, that's how you want to live your life. That's awesome. I support it. You have fun. Enjoy it. Just don't tell me that I have to approve of it or I have to participate or I have to do whatever it is. So I want to take this moment and share this with you. If you're alive today, I'd like you to take a second to thank a straight person for having sex with another straight person and giving birth to you. So you could be gay or Muslim or an illegal alien, whatever it is you chose to be. You're here simply because two straight people decided to have sex one time and made you. So you're welcome. So we're at that time. I know I've rushed through a lot, and I apologize. I had the doctor on, which is fun. I'm glad I had her on. I had to redo some things and get to where we're at. So I want to wrap up with my opinion on a topic unrelated to what we've spoken about. I want to talk about the class of 2025. As we know, this month everyone's graduating, and I just want to share my opinion on that, and hopefully people will understand what I mean. Class of 2025. You've graduated. Congrats on clearing the hurdles, exams, papers, late night cramming. It's all done. But don't get too comfortable, kids. The real world isn't handing out participation trophies, and the hard work starts now. Brace yourself because it's going to expose some ugly truths about your generation's work ethic and sense of entitlement. Let's cut to the chase. Too many of you have been coddled. Years of grade inflation, hand-holding professors, and culture obsessed with self-care over sacrifice have left some of you soft. You've been told you're special, that you deserve success just for showing up. Spoiler alert, the world doesn't care about your feelings or your degree. It rewards those who grind, adapt, and deliver no matter the costs. If you're expecting a corner office or a six-figure salary right out of college, you're in for a rude awakening, Buttercup. Most of you will start at the bottom, and that's not an insult, it's just reality. The hard part is the grind you think you've barely tasted. You might think you've worked hard, but late night study sessions don't compare to relentless demands of a real job. Deadlines don't budge. Bosses don't care about your excuses. And I'm overwhelmed isn't a get out of jail free card. Too many of you have a work ethic that crumbles under pressure, scrolling X instead of finishing a task, ghosting responsibilities when it gets tough, or expecting praise for doing just the bare minimum. That won't fly anymore. The real world doesn't pause for your TikTok breaks or your mental health days. You have to show up every day, even when you don't feel like it. Then there's the entitlement. You've grown up in a world where instant gratification, likes, retweets, and next day delivery is the norm. That makes me laugh. I even wrote it makes me laugh. That's bred a mindset that success should come fast and easy. It doesn't. You don't get to skip in line because you have a degree or a big Instagram following. You'll need to earn respect, results, and rewards through sweat and persistence. Thinking you're owed a dream job or a perfect life because you worked hard in school is a fantasy. The market doesn't care about your GPA. It cares about what you can do now. The hard part is facing a world that's indifferent to your expectations. You'll be judged on your output, not your intentions. You'll fail, and no one's going to cushion the blow. You'll have to build your own community because the friends you partied with might not stick around when the going gets tough. And you'll have to make choices. Where to live, what to prioritize. That will shape who you will become, with no one to blame but yourself if you cut costs or corners. Here's the kicker. You can still win, but only if you ditch the entitlement and weak work ethic. Embrace the suck. Show up early, stay late, and do the work no one else wants to do. Prove yourself through actions, not complaints. The world owes you nothing, but it's yours to conquer if you're willing to outwork everyone else around you. Class of 2025, the hard part is here. Step up, or get left behind. And again, that's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, just how I feel. Nope, there are not rooms full of snuggling puppies when you have a bad day. There are no safe spaces at the job I run. If you're having a bad day, you just got to deal. Cowboy up. Well, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me. Again, it's great that you spend time with me on when you spend time out of your day with me. I'm humbled. It's awesome. I'm not here to change your mind or force you to believe what I'm saying or following with me. Just want you to think. Just think. That's all I'm asking. That's all any of the podcasters on this network want you to do is just think. So I will be here Wednesday at 8 for the Pulse. That's when we all get together, all the podcasters, and we have like one big show and we talk about things. That's at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. And of course, I'll be here again next Sunday at 7 on the Conservative Corner. And we will talk about whatever's been going on. So until then, thank you very much. If you want to reach me, I can be reached, like it says in the bottom here on the right-hand side, at Conservative Seth or the Conservative Corner on Facebook. Any questions, just ask. Make sure you want to know the answer because I'm not going to lie to you. So have a good day. Have a good week. Remember, if you live your life by principle and not by a party, you're going to live a really, really good life and something you can be proud of. So I'll see you all Wednesday at 8.